to another episode of Stripped Back with Daisy Delight, where I am doing my very, very best to try and unpack the Sydney burlesque scene one rhinestone at a time. And with me, I have Midnight Mae. How are you going?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm going all right. You know what? I'm a little dusty. I'm a little dusty. Last night was a night, but I'm here and I'm ready to go.
Likewise, likewise. ABF week, baby.
Oh, fuck yeah. Were you in any of the performances at ABF?
So I go down to Melbourne week for new Follies, but I went and watched last night, and it was such an epic show. So my voice is holding on by a thread.
And that's how you know it was a good show, right? Like when you've got that raspiness the next day, you're like, okay.
Absolutely.
Should I call you Midnight or should I call you May first up off the top?
Uh, May.
May? Okay,
To
cool.
be honest,
Awesome.
it doesn't really matter. I will answer to either. It's
Yeah.
not the worst I've been called. So
Fair, fair. Well, May, can I just say you've come off a fucking ripper of a year this year in the burlesque scene. So I always do a stalky stalk of all of my guests.
I
So
love it.
here we've got you're the Apprentice 2024 winner, which holy shit, so well deserved. You're also the
Yeah.
winner of Dollhouse Cabaret's Golden Tong 2024. You're just a general amazing costume designer and seamstress to the stars of the Sydney burlesque scene, and you're a killer performer yourself. How do you do it all?
Coffee. Coffee and very unrealistic but high expectations of myself.
Honestly, there isn't really much that caffeine can't fix, right?
No, of course. I'm yet to find it at least.
Awesome. Well, if you're cool to jump in, let's just get straight on into it.
Yes, that's great.
Awesome. So, first up, I gotta know, what was your first ever exposure to burlesque?
Great question. I don't necessarily know that it's strictly burlesque, but I think watching the movie Moulin Rouge with Nicole
Mm.
Kidman,
Yes.
I guess kind of in that same world of all things rhinestones.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit of a prude growing up, so there were some scenes that really made me uncomfortable, but just seeing just seeing all the glitz and the glamour, it was incredible. Wasn't ever something I thought I would do. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just kind of fell into it post COVID anyway. I was looking for something that would kind of help me, I guess, get out of my little COVID shell once all the lockdowns had lifted and,
Mm.
I guess just reconnect with my body as well. Like I'd gone through so many life changes, just before COVID and then through COVID and, like my body had changed so
Mm.
much.
Mm.
I mean, we'd all put on the COVID few, but
Yeah.
it was really difficult kind of, yeah, I guess accepting those changes in my body, as we got out of lockdown and as I was getting older as well. So I wanted to kind of look for something that would get me out of that kind of shell, and help me meet new people. And I danced growing up, and you know,
Oh.
I like gyms were never something I ever stuck to. Like I ended up just paying for memberships for the sake of having them.
Mhm.
So I wanted something that was a bit different. And then I stumbled across Sydney Vintage Dance Studio. Had originally wanted to sign up to their tap classes, but they weren't running that term, and so I decided to sign up to a Burley class instead. And yeah, never look back.
Stop it. No way. So you could have been winning tap dance awards right now, is what you're saying.
I could have, yes, if it wasn't for that fateful term that Sheena didn't run her tap class.
In another timeline, in another timeline. So what was your first class like?
Horrifying.
Really?
Not only because I was so in my head.
Mm.
So my first class was with Kitty Allure,
Oh, goodness.
and it was just it wasn't a performance course or anything. It was just one of the, drop in and learn sort of vibes. And I was so nervous. just being around a group of people that I didn't know. I'd come from a very different bitchy dance world, and so I was concerned that I'd be walking back into something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, after, the first class or two, I very much kind of, put those concerns to rest, and everyone was so lovely, and I started to really just get out of my own head and let go. Um, so yeah, very nerve-wracking, but eventually once I eased into it, it was so fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something I freaking love about the burlesque community so much is that like, I feel I mean like not like throwing shade at other dance styles or anything like that, obviously. But I mean, like, when people who like come from like a more classical background or like, like it's like I love that with burlesque, it's a lot less, 5, 6, 7, 8. Everyone has to look like this. Everyone has to do this. It's very much like it's an outlet to your own expression. So, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's a
yeah,
really different
exactly.
ballpark. Yeah.
It is. And yeah, that sort of classic 5, 6, 7, 8 dance, dance mom screaming at you. And,
Yes.
that was what I'd known about the world of dance.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really weird coming into a space where it was, a hell of a lot less yelling and just a lot more comfortable.
Yeah. So cool. Were you ever in any troops?
Yes, I was. I spent yeah, I've done troops for maybe 2 years, I think.
Yeah, no.
Sort of eased up on them over the last 6 months. But yeah, I love them.
Hell yeah. What was your first troop that you were in?
It was another Kitty Allure. There's a
Yeah.
theme. Um, she did a like Stepford Wives inspired troupe. So we were all, we all were dressed up as these prim and proper, like 1950s housewives in gorgeous dresses. We
Mhm.
stripped down to sort of, these sexy little femme robots. But then at the end of the routine, we did a reverse strip. So we
Oh.
then put clothes back on, which was such a weird thing to do, but great. I just don't remember what we put on at the end.
Huh.
But yes, it was
Interesting.
it was really it was really different, and it was a pretty cool introduction to performances.
This is the thing that I love about Kitty. She comes up with the most like interesting ideas for troops. Like so unique.
It's it's like she just dropped some acid one night and
Yeah.
goes, I'm gonna write all of my ideas down. It's great.
I'm always so excited. I'm just like, oh, what's she doing this time? Did you have a favorite troop from that era?
There's been a couple of highlights. So, um, there was again, there was another kiddie one where we were all devils.
Oh,
That was really fun. We were all dressed in sort of, skimpy PVC,
yeah.
with little devil horns. That was sexy. But there was another one that I did with Nita Von Teese. I think it
Mm,
was last year, early last year. And it was kind of my first introduction to the more, I guess, heavier side of burlesque in terms of music styles.
mhm.
Um, we did we danced to Nirvana,
Oh,
Smells Like Teen Spirit, and we filmed it. Her partner's a videographer, and she'd arranged for him to come into the studio one day, and we just filmed it all, and it was so fucking cool.
oh my God.
Um, she brings a very different flavor to burlesque, and it's incredible.
Fuck yes. I've never actually worked with Anita, but I remember seeing that routine. Like, I actually, wait, no, I think I nearly signed up for that actually, which would have been wild.
You should have. It was awesome. It was so much fun.
What kind of flavor does Nita bring?
She definitely comes from more of that like classical dance background. She's an incredible, incredible dancer. Her movement with her body is fantastic.
Mm,
Um, but she does breathe in, yeah, just a bit of that like teenage dirtbag
yeah.
nerdiness. I also did it like a stormtrooper troop with her. Um, so yeah, it's almost like, burlesque in general is like a fringe society, but she brings the fringe to the fringe, if that makes sense. It's really cool.
Fucking love that. That's awesome. Oh my God. I am so sad that I didn't see this Stormtrooper act. This sounds amazing.
It was a lot. We wore stormtrooper helmets and we came in from the audience, and I knocked over glasses and tables, and it was it was hilarious, but it was so much fun.
Did you source the helmets yourselves, or like what happened there?
Yeah, yeah, we did. I don't remember where we bought them from. It was probably somewhere like Temu or, something
Of course, they have
not
everything.
something unethical like that. But yeah, I remember there were some debacles with it though. There were a couple of girls that didn't get theirs in time, so we were sort of scrambling around Sydney trying to find helmets for them. But yeah, most random prop. As someone who doesn't like Star Wars, dare I say it, it's never been something I've gravitated towards.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, for someone who's not kind of in that world, it was the most random prop that remains in my house.
Oh my God, I love it. Wait, so after you've done all these trips and you've gotten your taste, you're like, okay, I want to step out on my own as a solo artist. How did you get your burlesque name? How did you come up with Midnight Mae?
Well, I knew I wanted May. So May is my like human middle name, and I don't know why, but I've always loved it.
Oh,
Um, so I knew I wanted that. But Midnight came about from my manager at the time, actually, in my human job. Um, she was a very open person, and she was really interested in what I was doing, in the burlesque space, and she was very supportive. And I kind of just through normal conversation one day, I mentioned that I wanted to branch out on my own and kind of take on that next challenge, but I really couldn't find a name. And we were just kind of riffing together, avoiding work as one does.
yeah.
Yeah, and one of the suggestions she came up with was Midnight. And I was like, oh, that's got a cool ring to it.
Yeah.
I'll think about it. And then like a week later, that was still the only one I was thinking about. So I was like, okay, there's something here. Let's roll with it and see where it goes.
Yeah. Got to be a sign if you're still thinking about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think we all love some alliteration, so it
Oh,
sounds good.
yeah. We are sluts for alliteration in the burlesque scene, what can I say?
It's terrible. We need a new idea. But I mean, my human name is also alliterated, so I'm like, I guess there's some connections there.
Keeping on theme. So, what was your first ever solo act as Midnight May?
Yeah, it was by to I See Red, by
Oh,
Everybody Loves an Outlaw.
yes.
Um, Banger of a song.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I just kind of got up and was a little scorned lover trying to be sexy.
This is the one that you do with the guns, right?
It is, yes.
Yes.
My very sparkly guns. They're very scary.
Yeah. I remember seeing I think that wait, no, I think that you did this at a Peaches and Cream once, and I was just like,
Yes.
fucking bro. Like your outfits, I mean, like, can we just like take a second to like really just appreciate the amount of effort that you put into your outfit? Oh my God. You were so sparkly, you were so fabulous. I was just like, how does someone do that?
Sequins. Just always choose the sequin fabric.
I love it. No, but no, it was really cool though. Like, how did you come up with the idea for that?
Um, it was the song. I usually start with the song. It's usually, I like if I hear something that gives me that kind of guttural reaction when I'm hearing it, like I just want to move.
Mm.
Um, and if I can listen to it on repeat a number of times without getting sick of it, that song was definitely one that I could do those with. So again, I was like, there's obviously something here. Let's roll with it.
Yeah.
And then I just sort of started choreographing. So, like actually reading the lyrics and kind of working out what the songwriter's narrative was. And it is very much around that sort of scorn lover.
Oh,
Um, Scorn Lover narrative.
Mm.
So it's like, how can I try and bring that to life? It wasn't a perfect routine, looking back on it, I've definitely grown, and it wasn't perfect, but I think it was a really good launching pad for me.
Absolutely. No, I love that you use lyrics as your inspiration. It's honestly a really good way to go about it, I feel. I remember
Yeah.
tangent time. So one time I did a private with Bella Baby Doll, and she told me some advice. Actually, should I be saying this on the podcast? I'm like giving it away for free.
It's paid advice, guys.
This
Go
is
donate to Bella.
But donate to Bella. Give Bella, or like, I don't know, give her a tip or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
so she got this advice from Porcelain Alice, but it was about writing down the lyrics and then writing down what move that you're going to do to those lyrics, and then if you're taking something off along with that. And
Yeah.
it was really cool. I was like, I hadn't thought about it this way, but like honestly, like thinking about the lyrics that go with the movements, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a cool way of going about it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think particularly like if you're in a creative block, or, if you're someone that choreography doesn't come naturally to, it's a really good starting point to actually understand what the narrative is. Unless you've chosen that song to portray your own narrative, it's
Yeah.
that's not necessarily the way I work. I just don't have time to be that creative with it. But yeah, like looking at the lyrics, printing them off, kind of, you know, writing down certain moves, or, at certain points you want this item of clothing to come off, you want to pause at this moment in the music. Just kind of taking those footnotes, it gives you the scaffold to then put your own flavor on, which,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think is yeah, I also received that advice from Demon Derriere,
Ah, yeah.
doing one of her solo act course development. That was sort of lesson number one, was bring your printed out lyrics to the first class, and we're gonna work out where the different high notes or low points in the music are, so we can play into that as a starting point. Um, yeah, I think it's brilliant advice, and such an easy but intuitive starting point.
Absolutely. Okay, so after you've done your first act, you're flying, you're booking a bunch of gigs, you're doing your thing. So, have you ever had an onstage fail? And what was it?
Absolutely, yes, many. Um, I would also like to challenge you on booking all of the gigs straight out of the gate. That is absolutely not what happened. And I would like people to know that that is totally okay, because I struggled with that. Um, it's a journey, and it works out in the end, but it may not happen right away, and that's totally fine. Uh, so mishaps on stage. The icy red routine, the last couple of runs I had with it, my bra was falling off
Oh,
prematurely. So I was
no.
revealing everything before I'd even taken the first piece of clothing off.
Oh,
So that was fun, and that was my sign to retire that act. Because why would I remake the costume? That's just not that's just not how I do things.
no.
Um, there was also a troop routine that really sticks out. I won't name and shame, but we went down to Wollongong,
Uh-huh.
and it was we were like missing half the troop, because it was sort of an unplanned gig. It was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, if you guys are free, like it'd be great to have you part of the show. So half of us could do it, the other half couldn't. And yeah, it was a new environment. It was the first time I think that show had been down to Wollongong. I could be wrong.
Uh-huh.
Um, but it was the most silent crowd I
Oh,
have ever experienced. And we opened the show, and it was a very cold open,
no.
and everything went wrong. Like all the choreography, the spacing, it was an absolute shambles. And the only good thing to come out of that was that it was a very intimate crowd. So not many people saw how much of a fail that was. So that will always live rent free in my mind.
That's a thing that I think is so important to burlesque as well, is like the audience. Like, bro, the audience needs to be on board. Like, they have to be ready to make noise.
Yes, and I get it at the start of the show, everyone's always a lot more reserved. You haven't quite lubricated, like you haven't had many cocktails
Mm.
yet, so it's awkward, but you know what you're paying for when you buy that ticket. You know you're going to see ass and tits. So fucking scream for it. Like we all want to see it. So, we're sluts for attention, so give it to us.
Absolutely. No, because okay, note for the listeners, at the time of recording, we are recording like in the middle of Fringe season. So because I've just come off doing 2 shows for Fringe, and it's so funny, but like consistently for both of those shows that I did, something about Saturday night, I don't know what it is. I think it's like the theory is it's because like more normies buy tickets for a Saturday night show who haven't like been to a lot of like burlesque gigs or whatever. But like
Yeah.
I swear, the most silent audiences on a Saturday night. Like for one of them, when we did our bra reveal and the boobs were out, nobody screamed, and it's like, what is going on?
What?
You guys okay?
No. You pause the music and you kick them out, baby. They are not deserving.
I was gagging. I was just like, are you? Oh man, so funny. Like, but yeah, if you're not screaming for boobs, there must be something wrong with you, right? Like,
Right. Or you've booked the wrong show. Go and see, I don't know, Aussie Men Down Under or whatever the fuck they're called. I don't know. Like, oh, it's the worst feeling, but I think you can't help but laugh at it.
yeah.
Um, Yeah, it's so uncomfortable in the moment, and if I get it, if you're a newbie to burlesque, if you haven't been to a show before, it's weird and you don't know where to look,
Mm,
but yeah, I think you've just got to let go and go for it, man.
you
You've
gotta.
just got to yell.
You gotta. I remember some MC saying this. I can't remember who it was, but it stuck in my mind. But it's like if somebody's taking their clothes off on stage and nobody's screaming, it's just really fucking awkward. So like, make noise.
Yes. Yes, I could do that at home.
Yeah.
I didn't need to put this really uncomfortable bra on. I could have just taken it off at home.
Oh my God. Exactly. Oh, fucking hell. That's so funny. Okay. So, May, you have so many incredible costumes because you are, a costume designer, seamstress. You've added things to costumes for me before and plenty of my friends. Do you have a favorite costume that you've ever worn?
Oh, that I've worn. My
Yeah.
army one, my
Yeah,
most recent one.
for sure.
It's it's the most involved costume I've done for myself to date. There's a lot of pieces, and I created that for Apprentease. So,
Yeah.
so I had to put a lot more love into it than I probably would have if I was just performing anywhere.
Mhm.
And that's in terms of like the simple details, like just lining my coat.
Yeah.
Demon Derriere helped kind of mentor me at the 11th hour, bless her, with that routine. And sort of a week before Apprentice, she saw my coat and was like, babe, you need to line the shit out of that. Like it needs something fierce, it needs something shiny, like it
Yeah.
needs to be elevated. So, days before Apprentice, I was putting the red sequin lining in.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's just those little details that you don't think about until you're in that competition setting where you are being judged on those details.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, I adore that costume still.
Yeah.
Again, as a seamstress, I can see that there are some rushed parts, and if I had my time over, there's some details that I'd probably fix. But I just adore it. Like I get sick of things really quickly, particularly when it's a creative thing that I've made. and I'm still loving it.
Mhm.
I did a photo shoot in it yesterday with Frankie Fontaine, and
Oh,
it was it was the last outfit I put on, but as soon as I put it on and she started shooting, she stopped and was like, "This is the most comfortable you've been all day in these
oh,
shoots. Like you're just moving and you're not thinking about it." Um, so
yeah.
yeah, that was a really good feeling. I think it's definitely more of the direction I want to head with with my own costumes and with the commissions that I work on as well.
Yeah, it's incredible. Also, can we just take a moment to like bask in how amazing your apprentice performance was? Like seriously, like I
Thank
remember.
you.
I remember being up the back of 280 with Forrest because you were the last act that night and we
Yeah.
were like I was having some bubbles, like we were eating some chips, just doing the thing. You came out, you did your thing, and Forrest and I kind of looked at each other and we're just like, yeah, I think we know who's won this.
That makes me very happy to hear, but also it was luck. Like
No, you worked your
I,
ass off.
but we all did that
That's
night.
true.
Like,
That's true.
you know, being backstage and, talking to everyone, like
Yeah.
we all put so much love and effort into that. And I do genuinely feel lucky that I was the one that walked away with the crown, so to speak.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, it's luck. It's hard work, but it's luck.
Yeah. No, the vibes were honestly unmatched that night. It was such a lovely night. Like, seriously, I get
Oh,
very, like, I don't know,
beautiful.
I'm like a very big Care Bear at heart. I'm just like, oh, I want everyone to make a cake of rainbows and we all be friends. But I mean, like, backstage, it was like so lovely. Everyone was so kind to each other. And, yeah,
It
as you were
was.
saying, hearing each other's stories and just supporting one another. It was really beautiful. It was a celebration.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the like best backstage vibes I've experienced. Which is funny, like it's a competition,
Yeah.
the other girls, and the other performers were who we were competing against. And,
Mm, mm,
it's so easy in that space to, to fall into, nope, I'm helping myself and myself only because this is a competition. But
yeah.
there wasn't a single person in that room that did that. And it was really
Mm.
lovely.
No, it was so nice. And it's true. Like, that's the thing about competitions. It's like everyone brought something so different to the stage. So I understand what you're saying about, oh, like, I mean, it wasn't luck, but it's like, everyone could have like won in a separate category. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was just that, yeah, I think the luck is I got lucky that, I put something together that, the judges like themselves personally.
Mm,
As much as you try and mitigate bias in those situations where you have judges, you can never fully get rid of that bias as well. So I do
yeah.
think that, yeah, I do think that I just happened to maybe tap into something unique in all of them that maybe they can't even express.
And we all felt it in the room as well. Like there was like a palpable feeling of just awe. So like you really captured it for everybody. Like I feel at least.
Thank you.
Feel at least.
Thank you.
As the designated speaker of the audience, I believe.
No, I have had that feedback from a few people, and it's so heartwarming because, to be quite honest, what I want to do when I get up on stage is I want to take your breath away as an audience member. Like as much as I want the noisiest room I can possibly get, my goal is counterintuitive in that I want to silence you. I want you to be in so much awe and to be so engrossed in what I'm doing that you can't scream.
Fuck yes.
But then when you give me a silent room, I hate it and I whinge about it. So again, counterintuitive, but um, yeah. So I'm glad that came across in that routine, and I think that was a huge growth point for me in realizing my style, and and that is important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, she's a humble queen. We love her. We love her.
Don't give me compliments, but give them to me now.
So, would you consider yourself to have a signature dance move?
I don't know. I think if I do, it's probably more so my face. Um,
Mm.
I send my face.
Yeah.
Um, and I like a little like eyebrow raise when I'm like locking eyes with an audience member.
Yeah.
It's subtle, but it's, it's a cute little moment for me and that victim.
Absolutely. And they're never going to forget it.
I know, I hope not.
It's so good. Yes, no, face is genuinely so freaking important in routine. Hey, like it shows everything.
It is. And I'll never forget my first like when I first debuted. I debuted in a show with Victory Von Duchess,
Oh, love
and
her.
I know, epic, right?
Yes.
And I just remember being backstage, and like I'm one of those people that I can't rehearse my face,
Mhm.
which goes against all the advice that all the pros give. But I find it really difficult to just in a room on my own pull the faces that I would on stage. Like there's something I get from the energy of the crowd that
Yeah.
makes me go, okay, this is what needs to be done. Um, so I was like, when I debuted, I was backstage with Victory, and I was just kind of talking about how nervous I was about, not the routine, but just the face. Like,
Mm.
what if I get out there and I freeze and I don't do anything with my face, or what if I go too far the other way where it's just ridiculous and it doesn't make any sense. And she said something to the effect of like, no one is going to remember the outrageous face, but everyone's going to remember the stunned face. So just send it. And
Gosh.
the more face you give, the more it's visible that you're into what you're doing and you're comfortable and you're fucking owning it, the
Yeah.
more the crowd will be drawn to you and enjoy what you're doing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that was such an important piece of advice that I'd received. And I've never forgotten it. And I think that's the reason why I'm so comfortable sending my face so hard. Does mean that I end up with some really terrible pictures
Ah,
of,
yes.
of the performances, but I'm not doing it for the pics. I'm doing it for the people in that, 5 minute moment.
Yes. Oh my God. I absolutely relate to you so hard on the pictures thing. I don't think I've had a single picture from a performance where I'm like, yeah, I look very demure, I look great. It's like, no, I look like I'm about to
I
sneeze
look
and
like a
shit myself.
goblin.
Yeah, literally. I look like a goblin. I'm like, what is this? But you're having fun in the moment, right? So it's like,
Exactly.
yeah, so good. Now, this is a very, very big question, so I understand if you need a second to like get your thoughts together. But do you have someone who you'd consider to be your biggest influence in burlesque?
Absolutely. And there are so many. We're very spoiled for talent in Australia and, of course, worldwide. But one person I absolutely have to credit is Demon Derriere.
Mhm.
Um, she's fucking fantastic. She's a badass. But she's been really crucial in like helping me find who I am as a performer. Um, so like if anyone needs any help with that, I 100% recommend spending like even 5 minutes with her.
Mm.
Buy her a coffee and just pick her brain. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is that she does, but she just gets something out of you that I don't know. Whenever I'm with her, it's like a therapy session. Not in the sense that I'm like divulging all of my childhood trauma. It's just she connects with something really weird deep within you and pulls it out.
Mm.
Um, it's awesome. Um, so absolutely her. I absolutely have to credit Demon. Um, Fairy Mai is also someone that I absolutely love, and I remember seeing her perform for the first time and just having this kind of like awakening moment of, oh my God, I don't have to get up and be a pretty showgirl. I don't
Mm.
have to get up and and dance to classic music or something really poppy. Like I can get up and, I can get up and dance to Led Zeppelin. I can pick that Black Sabbath song. Like,
Yeah.
I can pick the things that I listen to in my everyday life as opposed to, I've never really been someone that's big on, like the cheesy pop music. I appreciate it and it has a place, but it's never been what I gravitate towards too.
Mm.
So yeah, having that moment where, having that realization of, oh my God, she's dancing to Led Zeppelin
Mm.
was so important to have. And Jezebel Thunder, who recently came to Oz,
Yes.
and I missed and absolutely do not want to talk about it. But I've been following her for a while, and I just love the like power and the badassness that she brings to her, to her routines and her style and personality. Like she's so big and bold, and I love that.
Yeah.
It's something that I really try to bring to my persona.
Mm.
And yeah, I think she's a fantastic inspiration from that point.
Yeah. God, she's a powerhouse. I'm so sorry to rub it in, but I was there for the Ivana show, and
She was someone I never thought I would get the opportunity to see. And then when I saw she was coming and I saw the dates and that I wasn't going to be in town, I cried. Like I was so angry that I had plans that I couldn't get out of.
hopefully she'll come back.
Or I just have to go to the States. Like,
Yeah.
oh no, I'm disappointed. Vegas trip, what?
No.
If anyone wants to come to Beehoff like 2026, please tell me.
Love it. Now, do you have any advice for new performers? Anything that you think would be important to somebody's journey?
Ooh, there's a couple. There's a couple of lessons I think I learnt the hard way. First one is absolutely stealing Victoria Von Duchess's advice of just send it. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry about it. I think second is just don't take any of this too seriously. Like your journey will happen and progress as it's meant to be. And I know it's frustrating in the moment if you've debuted and you're not getting the bookings immediately. I certainly fell into that mind trap of going, oh, am I actually really shit at this? You're not. It's just, it takes a hot minute to get out there.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, sort of furthering on to that whole notion of like not taking it too seriously, like just, don't put that pressure on yourself. Just have fun. Like if you get up there and you make mistakes, or the costume piece doesn't come off as it should, or the crowd's silent, or whatever it is, like as long as you can walk off and say that you had fun, fuck everyone else. Like it's not about them, it's your art, and you need to be happy in that moment. It's not about whether the crowd had a great time. Obviously it's important to please people, and particularly once you're starting to get paid for gigs. Part of the job of it is making sure the crowd has fun, but that shouldn't come at fun and happiness. And you should walk away with your head held high and go, fuck yeah, I just stripped in front of a room full of strangers. How weird is that?
I love it. Wear it with confidence. I love it.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, I think they're probably the two biggest. And take time to find out who you want your persona to be. I wish I had have taken a little bit more time in that early stage, but it wasn't how my journey was meant to be.
Hey, and that's okay. You're here now and you're smashing it. So
yes.
All right. Oh, I can't believe it. We're literally coming to the end of the interview. So thank you so much for your time. It's
Yeah,
always a
thanks
pleasure.
for having me.
Ah, always good to
So
chat
much
with you.
fun.
So tradition on the show is we always shout out others before we promote ourselves. So is there anybody in the scene right now who's doing something awesome that you want to spotlight?
Oh, how do I pick one? I have to default back again to Demon Derriere because what she is doing is so important.
Yes.
Go and support everything she does. You know, her her whole ethos around body positivity and representation in in all forms in this line of art
Mm.
is so important, and the world needs a hell of a lot more of that. So go and give her a follow. If there's nothing else you do today while you're listening to this, go and do that.
Hell yeah.
I fucking love her.
She's great. I've actually never met her. Yeah, I've only admired her from afar, but I'm very much a fangirl. I feel like when I do meet her, it's going to be one of those oh my god moments.
And she will laugh at you and give you a big cuddle.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so self promo time now. What are you currently up to, Midnight Mae?
Oh, so much. So
Yeah.
tonight I'm actually going up to Newcastle. I know for our listeners listening in the future, this will have already happened, but tonight I'm going up to Newcastle for Academy Opulence. Academy Opulence. It is the Dollhouse Studios student showcase. So I'm a featured performer there, and I'm really excited to see everyone up there again.
Yeah.
Next week, I'm heading down to Melbourne for new Follies in ABF, which is really exciting.
Incredible.
That's it in terms of shows, and I know they probably have already happened for our space and time travelers listening to this in the future. But all, if you want to catch me, I've got a little Linktree link in my Instagram bio, so go and check that out if you do want to come and stalk and say hello.
And what is your Instagram?
It is midnight.mae. That's MAE because I'm fancy. But the other big thing I'm working on as well is launching a size inclusive lingerie line, particularly focused on sort of burlesque lingerie.
Yeah.
So making it really accessible for us to strip in.
Hmm.
So yes, keep an eye out. Nothing's been launched yet. It's all very early days and still trying to work it out. Still in, heavy design phase, but yeah, follow my Instagram for more announcements on that.
Sounds bloody incredible. Well, Midnight Mae, thank you so much for your time. It's been a fucking joy to interview you and catch up, and I hope that I'll see you around again soon sometime.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to everyone listening if you've made it this far.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah, they're a part of the I don't know, the May army. I don't know. That's just something else
Yes,
come up with.
I have recruited you. Thank you. We're going to slay the world one show at a time.
Awesome. I'll see you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.